Well, this is episode 375 of the 3 Point Podcast, and we are proudly presented by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. The Memorial Orthopedic Walk-In Clinic is now available for those sports-related injuries, Monday through Fridays, 8 to noon, no appointment needed. Make sure you follow the Wellness Center on Facebook. Our other great partners include AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Nichols Painting, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, not only licensed in Michigan, but they can help you in California, Colorado, Florida, and Texas. Also want to thank Shiawassee County Fair and ALS of Michigan. Not the greatest weekend for our Great Lakes State sports fans, other than the Spartans. Saturday, the Wolverines looked lost in Norman. Sunday, the Tigers lost to the last place White Sox, and Lions, a very uninspiring opener at Lambeau. We'll get into all that stuff when we get into the bulk of the podcast. But the big news is Jared's been feeling a little bit under the weather. How you doing right now?
The joke I said to you guys before the podcast was that the Lions in Michigan made me sick. I don't know if it's far from the truth, to be honest. It was Sunday morning is when I woke up first feeling these symptoms, and then I think the Lions exacerbated it. But I'm doing good. I mean, we have a very special episode 376 coming out in a couple days, which you guys led with a couple special guests. So I'm excited to listen to that, and I'm glad you guys held down the fort and put out a good product. So. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just wish I was feeling a little bit better and wish my football teams were playing a little bit better. That's for sure.
I saw it's, we're moving into fall, and I know it's cooling down. I mean, even the mornings down here in North Carolina, the mornings have had a little crispness, around here. I can imagine even up north in Michigan. But I saw someone post out a meme or a tweet or something like that. So they obviously had some kids going back to school, and it said, "Kids going back to school, these are what my dishes look like." And it was like a medicine syringe, it was a medicine cup, and it was another medicine cup. Is that kind of where you're at right now? Like you're just trying to refuel, drinking Pedialyte and Gatorade?
Yeah. That's what I thought at first, because I just woke up. All I had was a sore throat on Sunday morning. I'm like, okay, this is just allergies. I did go to a housewarming party for the Michigan game, which turned into more of a funeral than a party. But I honestly thought it was allergies at first, and then it just kept getting worse. And man, it was the weirdest mix of puking, sore throat, horrible cough. I've never I went through a whole Kleenex box in 2 days. I've never blown my nose so much. But yeah, nothing like a good podcast with the three of us, chopping it up about where our teams fell short to really bring me back to life. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely give you some airtime on that one for sure. I had just one general question. Do you, at your age, are you able to get the flu shot, or do you believe in getting the flu shot, I guess?
What is his age? Why does his age come in?
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't know if it's something that older people have to get.
Gotcha. No, honestly, it's probably more of like that's something that my mom tells me to do. It's probably more of a laziness thing. It doesn't even cross my mind to go and get that. And that's probably why I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah, to be honest, we usually don't get ours till like October. We want to make sure we have it all through the winter. But I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I'm not against it. I'm not like anti-shot, but no, I don't. Yeah, I probably should go get it. It'd help me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's people that never get it and probably never get the flu. I never used to get it, but they bring people to work and they administer flu shots. Sure. So sometimes I'm at work, so all right, I'll swing through, get the flu. But
and you got young kids too, or in a petri dish at school, so you never know what they're going to bring home.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it too.
Well, before we get to the bulk of the podcast, because we got lots to talk about with the Wolverines and the Lions, let's have our Jacobs Insurance Agency Prep Spotlight. And I'll start it off with a local story. Owasso down Cranbrook, 47-19. That was a Friday afternoon game, and their quarterback running back specialist, Liam Patrick, led the way with 214 yards, 16 carries, 3 touchdowns. He was 6 of 10 passing for another 100 yards and a TD. And, Trojans off to a 2-0 start. Lake Fenton will be at Wilman Field Friday night. That's the Z92.5 Castle game of the week. So good luck to Ron Tyner and the Trojans. But Patrick, picking up where he left off last year, had a really nice game.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm we've talked about it before. I remember 4 years ago when Tyner first took that job, I was like, dude, that's the worst job in the state. I don't know anybody who could turn that around. And they've done it. I would think they're headed toward a playoff season. We'll see. They got to keep focused week to week. But, it sounds like this quarterback is kind of the guy that makes it go. 214 yards on the ground, that's no light feat. So that's pretty damn impressive. Plus another 100 through the air and another touchdown through the air. Sounds like the kid's a pretty damn good player.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, where they play Wilman Field. It's such a cool venue, and especially during playoff time when it's, fall deep into, November and chilly leaves. I don't know. I just remember going to playoff games when Owasso used to make the playoffs back when I was growing up. It's such a cool setting. So hopefully they can continue. We're 2 weeks in, so we don't want to jump the gun, but hopefully they can continue progressing. I know they've got some tough games coming up, but a playoff run by the Trojans would be cool again.
Yeah, and I just a piggyback off Jared's comment. When Coach Tyner came into town, we communicated right away because I was still doing the play-by-play back in those days, and he was very confident he was going to turn that program around, and he's lived up to it. If you can do it in a 4-year period, that's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, you've got to establish a culture, and you've got to get some talent, and it sounds like he's done that. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys had a couple other nuggets, but I know last week, Jared, you mentioned one game that you were kind of keeping your eye on, or you knew would be good, was Cass Tech versus Granville. And we hopefully we have a connection through our friend Snooze to You to the Granville head coach. So we might try and get him on at some point this season. But I don't know if you guys saw Snoozes or any other tweets about that game, but Snooze to You, he was tweeting out he was at the game down on the field.
That's a pretty good video.
The video was amazing with the backdrop, and it was a cool. I don't know, maybe I'd never seen it or something, but I was like, this is such a cool setting. But it looks like it was an incredible game. Cass Tech won in overtime on a field goal, 31-28. I mean, those, Jared, you might know better than me, but I mean, seems like all those rankings that we talked about, Jason Hutton and Tyler from Michigan Football Frenzy, Snooze, and a bunch of other people, they have Cass Tech number 1. Yeah. And most of them have Granville somewhere around the 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. So that was probably just an awesome game to be at.
What a great scheduling job by Granville and their head coach. I mean, so a lot of times, and we saw it last year in the Division I game with Hudsonville and Cass Tech, where I almost felt like the game was over the second they stepped on the field at Ford Field. To me, that's like Granville. You take Cass Tech to overtime at Cass Tech, like they're gonna go through the rest of the year thinking they could beat anybody. They have a big game with Rockford coming up in a couple weeks, and I just think if they do make a push to Ford Field and they end up facing maybe Cass Tech or another Detroit school, they'll be ready for it. And you talk about the video that Snooze to You got. I mean, all-time football environment. You can't see the Granville side of the stands. You can only see the Cass Tech side from the videos he posted, but I'd imagine they traveled very well. And it just looked like an all-time Friday night game. I was jealous. I was working the Tigers game Friday night, whatever, a half mile down the road. And I'm like, man, I wish I was at that game instead of this professional baseball game. So pretty awesome game. And that was a game where nobody lost. I mean, Granville showed that they're true and they can play with just about anybody in the state. So great game. Great job pointing out. Speaking of big time players in the Detroit area and big time former coaches, Alfred Casa, I mean, a legendary coach, sadly passed away at the age of 92. I mean, think about this. He was a longtime coach of Brother Rice. Before that, he was at Royal Oak Shrine, I believe. Finished with 430 career wins and 9 state championships. 300 players went on to play college football, and 13 went on to play in the NFL. The best video I saw all weekend about Coach Fracassa was his very last practice at Brother Rice, where he had 300 former players come and watch them practice on Thanksgiving Day in the snow. Just like a majestic video that Brad Galley posted. Just an all-time coaching legend. I saw a picture of his office. It was like the most classic football coach's office I've ever seen. Million of pictures of his former players on the walls. It's in their little school at Brother Rice. Just an all-time coaching legend. Had a lot of great battles with Tom Mack of Detroit Catholic Central. Great rivalry there. Yep. Just all-time coaching legend. I mean, got to be number one coach in our history, other than maybe Herb Brogan, who's still going at Jackson Lumen Christi, but all-time career for Alpha Crassa.
He's right up there at the top for sure. I mean, you can't count out John Harrington, 443 wins, 49 years at Farmington Hills Harrison, and 13 state championships. I mean, those are a couple great coaches, huh?
It's unreal, man. It's those are the guys who, when you imagine a high school football coach, the guys who just do it for the love of the game. I mean, no doubt probably could have jumped to college or something like that if he wanted, or jumped to another job where it's not as hard and maybe pays a little bit more, and all he'd have to do is coach. But no, it's just that's true class and just an all-time coach right there. Alfred Casa.
Speaking of coaches, I got one final thing here, a little bit closer to home here. Montrose head football coach, congrats to Dennis Reinhardt, picked up career win 250. And didn't he take over right after Tony? Is that because he was Tony's
won a state title pretty soon after there? Yeah. all-time coach. It always meant a little bit more when we played Montrose. They kind of were almost like a rival. I will say, of those 250 wins, none of them came on my behalf. So that's my one little jab I'll throw. But
Nice.
yeah, it's awesome. 250 wins, man. That's a sign of being good year after year. It's a sign of being committed. So it's awesome.
Good guy,
I mean, 250 wins. I feel like if you start to get into triple digits, and then if you start getting up over 200, if you just think about it, you're thinking, I mean, if you make a state title run, you have more, but around 10 to 12 games a year. So if you're getting up over 250 wins, that's either, you're just dominating, you're successful, but you've also been there a really long time. So that's really cool.
Well, yeah, you look at Fracassa and Harrington, over 430 wins each.
It's insane.
You assume when you hear 250 or 430, you assume it's a basketball coach. It's like It's almost uncomprehendable that it's a football coach.
Yeah.
So,
you'd have to look at the results. You have to be winning 8 to 10, 11, 12 a year. You know what I mean? You never have that stretch where you're going 2-7, for a 3-4 year stretch, So that's just sustained success is awesome.
Well, that is our Jacobs Insurance Agency Prep Spotlight of the Week. Let's take a little break, boys, and come back, and we'll start off with maybe some thoughts on the Oklahoma-Michigan game right after this. All right, Jared, you said it made you sick, maybe. Start with the Wolverines.
Listen, I have like a whole stream of consciousness of thoughts, so rather than me take up 10 minutes of airtime, I want you guys to go first, and then I can follow it up. Matt, what did you think?
I was going to say, we're recording this on Tuesday night. If we would have recorded on Sunday night, I think my thoughts would have been a little different. I'm still pretty disgusted, but, I've come down a little bit. That game, I don't know what my expectations really were going into that. I mean, obviously I was excited to see what Bryce Underwood could do, to see what the defense could do against a good team in Oklahoma, in Norman. But like now, again, like I said, taking a step back, I think our expectations probably were a little too high. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't think Bryce Underwood was going to go in there and like throw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, rush for 2, just absolutely blow it up. But I also kind of didn't think that he was going to have the game that he had. I thought it was going to be kind of somewhere in the middle. Maybe a touchdown pass or 2, maybe rush for a touchdown.
Have a couple moments.
Maybe, I have a couple moments. And then maybe I thought Michigan would battle to a win. Like they would kind of eke one out in the end. My big thing was I thought if they won the turnover battle that they would pull it out, which they did win the turnover battle, but it didn't matter. They looked out physicaled. There wasn't much of a fire. I will say Bryce Underwood never seemed to get like rushed. He didn't play the best game, but he didn't ever seem like he was flustered. You know what I mean? Play calling. I mean, we can get into that in a minute. Play calling was definitely a head scratcher. And then we can get to it even more in a minute. Seeing Sherrone Moore's comment in the press today, or it was either yesterday or today about, basically they're going to eventually mix in the run with Bryce Underwood. But if you're going to run your quarterback, you better trust that you have 2 quarterbacks. And that's just really a head scratcher. It's like, are you just saying you don't trust your backup?
Crazy.
Are you saying you're scared because you don't want Bryce Underwood to get hurt? So yeah, we can get a little more into that. But the actual game, I think Oklahoma's actually a good team. I think by the end of the year, they're going to be a playoff team. Mateer is, he's right now the Heisman favorite. By the end of the year, again, I think he's still going to be in the Heisman mix. They have a really tough SEC schedule coming up. But no, it was just kind of a disappointing game. The loss, okay, yeah, that happens. It was just the way they lost. They got out Michigan. Jared, I feel like you've said that before. They Michigan teams. Oklahoma, Michigan in that game, and just pushed them around.
I got one quick comment, then you can go, Ted.
I don't have much.
It's my trademark comment. It's they Mullings them. So they kind of Mullings us.
Right.
They did, and I'll give you some credit to both you guys, really. Mateer, he's the real deal, man. He's a pro quarterback, man. He looks good. I like the way he played. I was very impressed. Underwood obviously did not have a good game, but I don't think the coaching staff did him any favors at all. And this is ridiculous. You don't let the kid run the ball. Come on.
Right.
I mean, let's get into it. I mean, Oklahoma is a good team, but Michigan was not ready for that game. I'm not going to make any excuse whatsoever, but back-to-back 7:30 games on Saturday night, I don't like that, first of all, but it is what it is. You got to play with what you're dealt. But they got a lot to shore up here, and fortunately, maybe they got CMU coming into town. But they got to change their whole mindset. And that whole comment by Sherrone Moore, that leads me to think, what in the hell is going on there?
I felt like I'm going to kind of work backwards starting with the Bryce running thing. I've said that like the last 2 weeks. Man, we
Yeah.
got to use his legs. We got to use his legs. I can't believe they're not using his legs. To the point where after that game, I was like going back and like, am I an idiot? Like, what did I miss? So I'm like looking up his 40-yard dash time. He ran a 4.58. I'm looking up, his physical attributes, which is all we heard about when we signed him, how big he is, how athletic he looks, like, how great his arm is. Like, to me, it's just crazy that they're unwilling to run him. Nobody's saying you got to run him 20 times like Oklahoma did John Mateer. How about 5 times? How about just 1 time? How about 1 time? It's ironic.
He did run 1 time and he like scrambled for a first down.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that to me, and Sherrone Moore's comment only exacerbated it. It's like, what is he talking about? Basically, he's saying like, we're not trying to win now. Essentially, he's saying like, what is it going to be? Come Ohio State week when Bryce Underwood hasn't run at all? It's like, we're taking the chains off you. Well, we're going to run you 20 times. You talk about getting somebody hurt? That seems like how you get hurt to me. Right. You can't play in hopes of not getting hurt. That's just like such a weird way to play. I don't know how you even can do that. You can't do that in football. Injuries happen all the time. Freak injuries. I mean, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna say it. I gotta say it, but I'm not gonna would when I say it. Imagine if he gets hurt just like on some drop back this year, and then you have that comment from Sherrone. Right. Knock on wood, it's not gonna happen. But my God, like you can't coach that way. You can't play that way.
Right. How do you think Davis took that?
Right.
Yeah, agreed. And that's like, I mean, we got a 4-star guy behind him, Bryce Underwood. Like, and this is what a lot of people were texting. Like, I had somebody text me who was getting my nerves. Like, this is the game plan. They're quote unquote protecting him, like basically protecting him because he can't compete at this level as a freshman. How are you protecting him? Like, people are clowning him today. Like 9 of 24 didn't look that great. You got Michigan State fans laughing at him, Ohio State fans laughing at him. I'm with you guys. I don't blame any of this on Bryce. It's play calling. I mean, right. Chip Lindsey. I had a sick feeling in my stomach right from Jump Street where whether they won or lost that game, I'm like, man, what is going on with this program? Those bubble screens, the first couple drives, what in God's green earth? And then handoffs on 3rd down. Like, This was a Davis Warren offense with the number 1 player in the country. I get he's a freshman, but to me, it's not like we haven't seen freshmen light it up in the past. I mean, I remember Caleb Williams jumping onto the scene versus Texas. First or second snap he took, he ran for like a 60-yard touchdown in that game. To me, it's doing Bryce Underwood a disservice not to run him because he's not Tom Brady at this point. He's not going to be able to pick you apart from the pocket. I never once watched his high school games. I watched 4 or 5, and we talked about it last week, and thought he was a guy that's going to pick you apart from the pocket. I thought this is a guy who's a dual threat, who's a super athlete, and in the right scheme with his arm, like he's going to take the top off the defense a few times a game. He's going to run for 50 yards. He's going to extend drives with his legs, and he's going to be poised, and he's going to be confident. To have him sit back there and turn into a pocket passer is not fair to him. You know who I thought would be that is Dante Moore, and we're seeing that at Oregon. Right. Obviously, he had a rough time at UCLA before that, too, as a freshman. He's still got time to prove himself. But to me, I'm more so worried about the coaching around him that's going to coach him up. How do you look at that game plan where they're running 8 offensive linemen every single snap? I mean, outside of the one Justice Haynes run, I think Joel Klatt said it on his show, like 30 rushes for 70 yards. Like we were not able to pound the rock. And as for the overall game plan, that running that type of system worked when you had Mason Graham, when you had Kenneth Grant, when you had Will Johnson, and you're holding Ohio State to 10 points a game. In that game, Mateer was the best player on the field. It never felt like our defense was in control. When we got stops, they had a muff punt. They had a dropped 3rd down early in the game. They had an overthrow by Mateer that we picked off. It never felt like we were dominating the game defensively where we could play safe. Isn't it just weird to think like they just basically rolled over and said, we're just going to take this loss? It can be rectified in the coming weeks, but man, that you said it, Matt. If we recorded Sunday night, that sickening feeling of I could live with Bryce Underwood throwing 3 interceptions. I could live with him fumbling. I couldn't live with just not knowing and basically just accepting defeat. It was the worst possible outcome. And I said, last thing I'll say that I'll throw it back to you guys. Heading into the weekend, this game was a win-win for me. I thought if Michigan wins, great. If they lose, Bryce Underwood's going to show some things that shows he's the guy, and we're going to build off of it. The way that went down
didn't really show anything.
It took the heart out of us. It took the heart out of the football program, man. It was a win-win situation. If they just would have played their balls off and tried hard and left it on the field, we could have lived with it. We would all be sitting here saying, all right, let's get ready for Nebraska in a couple weeks. Let's get right versus CMU. Let's go try to win the Big Ten, which is all that matters. Now you're looking around going, what the hell's going on in this program? It's crazy.
Well, my thing is, like, if we remember when JJ McCarthy, who we just saw last night on Monday Night Football, just blow the world up, one of them with a run,
Yes.
an awesome touchdown run that makes you think, man, I doubt his head coach was worried about his backup quarterback at the time when he called JJ's number. But when JJ was a freshman, obviously JJ wasn't as highly recruited as Bryce Underwood, but he was, depending on where you looked, he was a low 5-star, high 4-star, whatever. But anyway, JJ was a stud coming out of high school. But, maybe Jim Harbaugh saw, hey, he's there, but maybe not quite there. So Cade McNamara was a starter for JJ's freshman year, but JJ would come in for those, 3-4 series a game. And, we would see it. We would see those plays and be like, man, this kid's going to be a stud, but maybe not quite there. I think Jim Harbaugh saw that. And then obviously the rest is history with McCarthy at Michigan. So my thing is, if Sherrone Moore has that mindset where he's like, don't want to take the wheels off yet with Bryce and don't want to do this, why are you even starting him? Start Jaden Davis, or Mikey Keene came in, the transfer, he started for like 3-4 years.
Right.
Start him, and then just play Bryce Underwood 4 or 5 series a game and get his feet wet. And then if by midseason he's good to go, okay, give him full reign. If you're going to start the guy, why are you not just opening the playbook? I mean, I guess like you're not going to completely open it. The kid's just 18 years old, but we see when he would roll out, sometimes he can throw on the run. He would complete passes. The couple times that he would get on the move, the one deep ball to McCauley made the grab, but at least he threw it up there and gave his receiver a chance to make a play. And then we never saw anything like that again. So it's just head scratching. And it's like, if you don't trust the kid, why is he out there playing? It's kind of like what we would say when Alex Orji was playing last year for Michigan. It was like, if you don't trust this dude to throw the ball, why is he even out there playing quarterback? So it's a little frustrating. So I think hopefully CMU is the game where they win by 30-40, get some of that confidence back and just get some mojo going again. Because if they kind of are in a battle with Central Michigan and only win by like 10, 13, 14, it's going to be really bad vibes heading into Big Ten play. But I think, there are a couple things maybe like not getting talked about. Marlon Klein, the tight end, who I think is going to get drafted. He's going to be a stud. Losing him was a big deal. I mean, clearly in the first game, I think that's Underwood's guy.
Playmaker.
Right. That's Underwood's go-to, security blanket guy. He's also really good blocking tight end. So maybe that injury was a pretty big factor, but you shouldn't just completely fall apart because one guy got hurt.
Right. I agree 100% that if you're going to play him, you got to unleash him. You got to go full bore. Yeah, he's a freshman. We get that. Okay. It might affect some of his calls, the line of scrimmage, but you got to have the whole playbook available to him for sure.
It's like,
you got to set, Jared kind of said it, but you got to like set him up for success.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think even, who the heck was calling the game?
Herbie and Fowler.
Oh yeah. It was ABC. I think Fowler even at the beginning of the game said something, or I think it was Herbie, whoever said that he's a strong pocket passer, so, okay, that's fine, but he is a dual threat guy, so like you said, Jared, to try to only make him a pocket passer like Tom Brady, it seems like you're hindering him. You're doing the opposite.
Well, you got this guy who's like, okay, and we said it already. Maybe he doesn't have to run 20 times a game, but I had this thought watching Jared Goff, and we'll get to the Lions and Jared Goff. You could have slotted in somebody with Jared Goff's athleticism, and it would have been the same exact game plan. Like you would never had to change a single play call with this guy who, I mean, when you think of him, you think of his athletic traits. It's not, you don't think about him picking you apart with them at this point in his career. You don't think of him as a Tom Brady type who's going to pick you apart pre-snap and get to his fourth read. That you can't expect that out of a freshman. So it was crazy. And to me, as for Sherrone Moore, I don't know about you guys, and maybe this is just lost in the shuffle. Like, I didn't love a lot of his decisions that he made throughout the game. A couple of the field goals we took, like when we were, it was a 2-possession game, or we were down a score and it's like 4th and 3, and we're kicking field goals and we missed one. That was key. It's just like, I just felt like from coaching to players to everything, it just was a debacle. And one other thing I'll say, like, we'll talk about this real quick. People are making a big deal out of the argument on the sidelines. Bryce, it's a bad look for Bryce. I don't know if it's a bad look for Bryce. I don't know if it's a bad look for Haynes. All I know is you didn't see that on a Jim Harbaugh sideline. To me, if that happened at halftime or after the game in the locker room, they hash it out, it's maybe a little better look. I don't know what happened. I'm guessing Bryce made the decision to throw it on that short, and that's when they ended up kicking a field goal actually on that short down situation. I just would have rather not seen that. Again, I don't hate that Bryce is taking the initiative to kind of challenge Haynes, who's probably bitching about it on the sideline, but just would have rather not seen that to me. And then finally, the one thing that everybody says about Sherrone, and I'm not totally out on Sherrone. It just was it. Man, I went from I like this guy to I really don't know about this guy. I mean, it's probably an overreaction, but the fact that everybody says he's such a great recruiter, and that's agreed. I mean, he landed Bryce Underwood, but I'm looking at this team. I don't see a ton of NFL talent. I'm not. I don't know every player by the book and where they're projected, but I didn't see, the talent that we've seen in years past. I always say, like, Michigan always reloads defensively, and we have a couple good players. I see trouble in the secondary. I just don't see that NFL defensive line that and I know Hausman's probably going to get drafted. It's not that defensive line we're accustomed to the last 3-4 years under Harbaugh and then even last year. So he's got a lot to figure out. One last thing I'll leave you guys with. Do you guys, and I'm not saying this because I'm glad we have Underwood, don't you guys almost think that, I think about Florida and their struggles as we go to DJ Lagway, who is a number one recruit. Don't you almost think that I'm glad we have Underwood and that we're the ones to find it out, but don't you almost think the way to go nowadays is when you're in Michigan, when you're in Oklahoma, like we saw last year with Dylan Gabriel in Oregon, Ohio State and Will Howard, let's just go poach the best guy, the best proven guy. Maybe Underwood pans out to be the stud, maybe not. I think he will, but we're not for sure. Wouldn't it be better if we just said, hey, let's go get John Mateer this year and let's win now. And let's not worry about him getting hurt. Apparently, that's the big thing. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Is that almost the way of the future? Obviously we love Underwood. We're glad we have him, but it almost is like, man, it would be kind of sweet if we just signed John Mateer this offseason. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Ted.
No, it's hard to argue it, but I think where they're at right now, it did feel good getting the number one recruit overall. Right. I'm not out on Underwood yet at all. I think he still has a bright future at Michigan. Hopefully they pull it together. But to your point, I get it. It may be a change of philosophy down the road, but it may be with a new coach.
Yeah. The thought of, again, going back to JJ McCarthy, we had him at quarterback for 3 years. So that's a cool thought. If Bryce Underwood stays for 3 years, to think about him next year and then that third year, how good he could be. So that is a cool thought. But it is so much now about win now. I mean, you can't. We just saw Michigan go 8-5 last year. We can't have another year like that, because if they lose to Michigan State, if they lose to Ohio State, if they slip up against Nebraska, and maybe another one or two, people will really start questioning Sherrone Moore. And he's be saying the same thing. I kind of thought the same thing. The defense was supposed to be stacked. I still think the defense is going to be fine. If they would have completed, like, they probably could have had 2 or 3 more interceptions. They kept whiffing. I think Mateer is just really good, but they whiffed on like 3 or 4 sacks that would have been like clear QB sacks they missed. So like I really don't think the defense played that bad, because they held the Heisman Trophy candidate to like basically 200 yards, 24 points. So really, like, the defense wasn't terrible. The offense just really couldn't get it going. I don't know about you guys. Like, I was texting some friends, and, again, this is maybe immediate, overreaction, but am I crazy? I feel like I'm about to say something that Jared would say. Am I starting to get like Juwan Howard vibes from Sherrone Moore?
Somebody said that to me as well.
Like, great recruiter, like you said, had that early success. Yeah. Juwan Howard with John Beilein's guys.
Yep.
Sherrone Moore with Jim Harbaugh's guys. He landed the big recruit like Juwan Howard kept doing. And in the end game, like there was the one drive where he called 2 timeouts on the same drive.
Oh my God.
He called, Savada, yes, our kicker, he did miss the one kick, but he's one of the best kickers in the country. I mean, he's a preseason All-American. You see the tweet before the game, that pregame, he was hitting the back of the net from 60 yards. Again, that's pregame, I know, but still, he's got the leg. And that one drive, we punted from the 38-yard line. Yeah. We punted from the 38, and the punter kicked it out of the end zone. So it was a net 18 yards on a
nonsense.
That's nonsense. It really is nonsense. And I saw Sherrone's comment, again, a head scratcher. Afterwards, he was asked about it, and he said something along the lines of like, well, I always trust my special teams coaches because they know what the kicker can do, or whatever. And it's just kind of like, I don't know if you're like putting it on those special teams coaches, or you're the head coach. Like, what are you doing? You have
never say that.
Right. You have one of the best kickers in the country, and you need points. You can see against Oklahoma, it's like, we need points because we're not moving the ball. put the kid out there. And I mean, if you're seeing him kick 60-yarders pregame, go out there and do it again.
Right.
And you punt from the 38. And then, like I said, the timeouts and just some of the other things. Again, I'm not out on Sherrone Moore. You guys know how long I held on for Juwan Howard.
I can appreciate it.
I mean, he beat Ohio State. He's got some big wins under his belt. But it's also, I'm starting to get that, like, are you a leader? Like, can you really? I think people are like almost. Jim Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in all of football. I mean,
without a doubt,
his teams were disciplined. They tackled. They played hard, and hasn't looked that way so far with Sherrone. So he's got plenty of time to turn it around. But
Harbaugh rarely got out coached. I can't even think of a time where he got out coached.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about this, but I didn't know that he said that. That's like my number one pet peeve when it comes to head coaches is when it's like they just wipe their hands. Like when Jim Harbaugh's offenses were running, you think Jim Harbaugh was listening to every call that was being made, giving his input, vetoing when it was necessary, like whether he was the offensive coordinator or not. I hate it when it's just like, oh yeah, you guys make the decisions. I'm just like the GM manager type role. It's stupid, right?
It's bullshit. I mean, he's the head coach. He has the final decision on field goal or punt. You claim it on the special teams. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it sucked, man. And then you throw in the fact, like, usually like a Michigan State loss will like, kind of make you feel better. I think we were all like, at least me and Matt were definitely rooting for that. We're probably rooting for that as we flipped into the Michigan State Boston College
game of the day. Best game of the day.
Yep.
And they just had a great win. Aiden Childs had the best game he's had as a Spartan, 5 touchdowns. I mean, that Michigan State Michigan game is going to be interesting at the Woodshed. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it for the entertainment, but it's not going to be an easy one. I think it's going to be a dogfight. They have playmakers, man. Like their wide receivers, Nick Marsh, man, they have playmakers. They reload at running back. It seems like every year with some stud. It's like
Frazier.
Yeah, I'm worried about that one.
And they're going to be playing with an edge, and I think it's kind of back to your comment about an experienced quarterback. I mean, Childs is still young, but he's been in college football for a couple of years. He's been with Smith, the head coach, for a couple of years. And I think there's value to that. I tweeted it out, but, people didn't talk about Mateer was with his offensive coordinator, Arbuckle, at Washington State, who Venables made the smart decision. I'm going to get Mateer. I'm also going to get your offensive coordinator. So, they know each other. I think there's something to be said about that. That's part of Childs' development. He's in the same system. Underwood is learning everything on the fly, basically. So,
it wasn't that funny that Fowler said, like, during the broadcast, like he asked Venables, like, which one did you get first, the quarterback or the offensive coordinator? He said the offensive coordinator. I don't know if that's true or not, but no, it's going to be fun to see how that one plays out. Ted, I remember a few weeks ago when I was talking about how awesome the Michigan Ohio State game is going to be this year. You said, like, oh, do you see why that's the biggest rivalry? Just wait. This Michigan State game is going to be heating up with Underwood as the number one recruit. That State fans are just, if he has a bad game and we lose that, it's going to be intolerable on Twitter. I might off myself, man, on this podcast if that happens. No, I'm joking, but that would be a brutal couple days for all of us.
Take away the NyQuil.
Yeah,
right. Well, they need to turn it around, and but we're going to move on to some other stuff. But I think Michigan, so obviously CMU and then Nebraska, and then a bye week. These 2 games, Sherrone Moore is going to be suspended for. He's not going to be on the sideline. Biff Poggi, Poggi, he's going to be the acting head coach, which I think is a great move. He's a Michigan guy. He's a hard-nosed guy, but he's been around. Honestly, it's one of those things, like, I'm not like trying to get like too deep into the weeds or, whatever. It's almost like Sherrone Moore needs to go on an Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat and get the hell away.
Ayahuasca too.
Like get away. And I'm not his mentor or anything like that, but it's like, dude, I think you need like reevaluate things. You know what I mean? Like take these 2 weeks and go on a vacation, go to Cabo, go to Costa Rica, like get away for 2 weeks and think, cause it's like, man, you're setting yourself up. Michigan fans are going to turn on you quick.
Is the suspension? Can he even have any contact with coaches or what?
This week he can be with the team for practice. Then I'm guessing because it's a Big Ten game, he can't next week. I just learned that from a Brad Galley video.
Okay.
And I'll give my dad credit. He makes a good point, and I agree with him. Sometimes, like, I think if it would benefit teams to have somebody in the booth who's not associated with the team. Not there every day for practice, because think about it. We were all watching that game on TV. Like, what the hell is this game plan? Like, what is going on? I made the joke because somebody sent me a Chris Castellani tweet like mid game. I'm like, he should have a headset on. Like, sometimes you just need that kind of common sense guy. Like you said, like Sherrone Moore just needs to step away, get away from it. He's not going to. He's going to watch every second of Michigan,
Right.
but
Sure.
like, just come back with a fresh perspective. They needed a fresh perspective in the booth on Saturday, and they didn't have it, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. Before we get off college football, I've got to send my weekly shout out to the Ferris State team. Ferris State 63-6 over Lake Erie. Our boy Wyatt Bauer, another solid game, 11 of 20, 220, 3 touchdowns, 12 rushes for 107. Man, he's settling in as a main man there for the Bulldogs.
I'd like to hear if Coach Anise, like, if what if they just said, "Hey, you're never going to run the ball, and you're just going to air it out
Right.
30 times a game"? Let's see what his stats would be.
Really?
Actually,
I wonder what he thinks about that quote.
That's a good point, Jared. I'd be curious if Coach Anise would be honest with us and say, what do you think about that comment? Because, I mean, why? I guess he's a redshirt freshman, but he's young,
Right. Yeah.
like he's been in the system for a year. But you think Coach Anise, do you think Tony would say what Sherrone Moore said, and he's not going to run because he doesn't have 2 quarterbacks, or however he worded it? Like,
Never.
No.
Never. Also, what are we going to do with college football and the elimination of cupcake schedules? I mean, looking at some of those games last week, I mean, in this day and age of big time college football, playoffs expanded, what do you guys think about?
I don't know, man. I mean,
matchups?
that USF win at the Swamp, you got the players doing the Gator Chomp at midfield. You got the coordinators in the booth hooting and hollering as they're running down to the field to celebrate.
Well, I don't call that one particularly a cupcake specifically. There's other ones out there.
Is USF technically Big 12 or not yet? I don't think they are. Actually.
Are they American?
UCF is. I don't think USF is. Yeah, that's fair. Like, I'm with you. Like, sometimes it's like, I get what you're saying now.
I mean, Ohio State Grambling.
Like,
Come
it's
on.
like, where do they come up with some of these games?
Right.
I'm with you. I think they are going to eventually move to that. It's just, those FCS schools get something from it. There's maybe a upset every once in a blue moon. I mean, Long Island beat Eastern Michigan. My God. I was at my buddy's house who's an Eastern Michigan alum, and I'm like, we're just laughing about it. Like, what in God's green earth is going on with this program, man? So you get some of those stories. Right. I saw Adrian beat Valpo as a D3 school. Yep. What the hell is going on there? But I'm with you. I think it'll probably eventually be totally phased out. It is kind of a bummer with some of these matchups, man. I mean, teams are putting up 77 points. Minnesota didn't even finish their game. Right. Called off. That's something that I watched at a New Lothrop game back in the early days when they were playing the worst schedule of all time with Ken Galvas just killing teams. They quit at halftime. They're up 60-0. Yeah. So that's the only time I've ever seen that. And that happened at a college level. So.
No, you can see it both ways. Again, I'll be the guy to present both sides. So, because you think about New Mexico came to Michigan and they talked about their coach bringing the team the night before, and they all walked out there like it was Hoosiers, taking pictures of the big house. And I've heard people at work who are Tennessee alums, they would talk about some of those smaller schools in Tennessee that would come to Neyland Stadium and play the Volunteers. And it was some of those players' only chance to play at a stadium like Neyland. So it's cool for those smaller schools to go to the Horseshoe, to go play Alabama, to go play at the Swamp and, Florida. So that's cool. They also get that paycheck. CMU, Michigan is going to pay CMU a lot of money to come to the big house and play. So there's that side to it. But there's also the side that people are starting to say, like Indiana and their head coach, Signetti, they're talking about why schedule Oklahoma? Why schedule Texas in your non-conference? Why do that? It doesn't benefit you at all if you beat them. It might help you a little bit, but if you lose, that hurts you. So why not in the non-conference just play a bunch of South Carolina State and East Texas A&M and New Mexico and beat up on those teams, and then just worry about your conference. So that's
my only complaint is New Mexico's D1, Central Michigan's D1. It's when they go below that. Yeah, that's when I consider it the real cupcakes.
Yeah.
Not everybody can win, but if you're D1, it's legit at least.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. Now I got one other comment on college football. I've talked about it before, and we've talked about it. It's an ESPN product. College Football Final. I just love that show so much. Every Sunday morning, man, I have it on my DVR. I get my coffee, and I see everything I need to for an hour of all the key games and all the key plays. That's one of the best shows on television.
It is, and now that you said that, I didn't watch it this past week because I guess I just was so out of college football after that Michigan loss. But yeah, they have EJ Manuel on it this year. That's just a classic highlight show. That's why I appreciate it. I tell everybody I know to watch that show. It's just they cover everything you need to see across the entire college football world. Matt Berry's great job as host. I love Joey Galloway as well, even though he's an Ohio State guy. I'm with you. It's a great show.
It's what SportsCenter used to be, and it's not being critical, but SportsCenter used to be highlights. You could turn on SportsCenter and see everything that happened, baseball, hockey, football, everything, and that's what that show is. It's good.
For sure. Do we want to take a break, or we want to jump right into the Lions? What do you guys think?
We can take a little break.
Yeah,
let's take a little break because
let Jared blow his nose and take a little breath.
Yeah, and get a breath or two. All right, let's take a little break. We'll be right back and talk a little Lions football. All right, 27-13. After watching that game, and there's a lot of negatives from that game, and for once, Jared, or for once, Matt, I'm gonna say something about Jared Goff. Okay, after watching all of the pro football games this weekend, including JJ, including Williams for the Bears, including these young quarterbacks that can move, I don't know if the Lions can do it now with Jared. I hate to say that. I mean, he still had decent stats, 31-39, but with new coordinators in, he's lost his comfort blanket with Ben Johnson. The offensive line was horrible. They got things they've got to shore up there. I mean, I'm not saying throw them out, but they had a terrible game. And the overall game plan, I don't think, was good. But back to Goff, I'm not throwing him out and throwing him completely under the bus because he's our guy. He's our guy we got. But the thought did cross my mind, and shoot me if I'm completely wild by saying this. Maybe this season they need to dump it and get a quarterback. Mateer. He was that impressive to me.
I've seen people say that they need to draft a quarterback this upcoming draft and figure out a way. It's the same thing we used to always say those last few years with Stafford, that you need to get a backup. You need to draft a dude that could be the successor. And hey, I appreciate you finally leaving it not to me to be the only golf critic.
He is a statue back there, man. I mean, that's all there is to it. But listen, the dude can throw the ball. The dude is a leader. You put the right line around him and the right game plan, he can take you to the Super Bowl. But I keep thinking back to 2023. Was that it? Was that it?
It's starting to look like that more and more. We've said it a number of times, and I mean, yes, I'm with you. Plenty of times I've been very critical of Jared Goff on here, but I'm with you. He's a very good quarterback. I think he's top 10, top 12, he's somewhere around that range, something like that. But it's obvious, like you said, when you watch all the other games, when you watch Josh Allen, when you watch Lamar Jackson, even when you watch he's not washed up, an old Matthew Stafford, he can still move. JJ McCarthy's running around. Joe Burrow can, being able to run is just such an added aspect to the offense, and Goff just has not. He just won't run, and I don't kind of understand. Micah Parsons had that one sack, and everyone was going crazy about it. Everyone's awesome. I mean, it was a cool story, whatever. Kind of annoying as a Lions fan. But he chased down Goff outside of the pocket. And I'm pretty sure, Jared, when you had the flu on your bed, you probably could have chased down Jared Goff when he was trying to run outside the pocket.
It was terrifying watching him track him down, man. It was terrifying.
But so the one thing I'll say, though, I'm not out on Goff. Obviously, he's still the guy. They got some stuff to figure out. I think a few things. The coordinator thing is obviously a big thing. No Ben Johnson. So, him and John, they'll figure it out. The new offensive coordinator, they'll get some stuff figured out, whatever. They need to fix the offensive line. I don't think it's been talked about enough how Frank Ragnow retiring is such a big loss. I mean, he legitimately was one of the best centers in the league. And, a quarterback and center, they really have a good relationship, and he would just dominate guys. He would set the tone for the whole offensive line. And we like Graham Glasgow because he's a Michigan guy, but he's a little older. He's not Frank Ragnow. And Ratledge over there may end up being a really good offensive lineman, but he's a rookie. And it was clear that middle of the offensive line was just getting pushed around. And that's where Jared Goff, the struggles really are glaring. When the offensive line isn't protecting him, so he can't be back there and survey the offense. And if the offensive line isn't opening up holes for the run game, which then sets up the play action. The last couple of years when, Sonic and Knuckles, when Gibbs and Montgomery were the best 1-2 punch in the league, that opened up. The run game was obviously great. That opened up the play action. The offensive line was great, and Jared Goff could just dice teams apart. When that stuff isn't working, that's what you're going to get out of Jared Goff. And it just kind of is what it is. It's not being a hater. I mean, you can see it. So
well, you got to have a running game.
They'll figure it out. But
you got to have a running game to set up the pass. And I mean,
Right.
their leading rusher was Montgomery with 25 yards.
They couldn't run.
Enough said.
It was terrifying to see that. The interior line, and I think none of us really had a problem with them not playing in the preseason, all the starters. But when you see how out of sorts that offensive line was, I mean, there was one play. It's honestly the funniest play I saw all weekend. We're on the 1 yard line. Handoff to David Montgomery. Ratledge runs one way. Glasgow runs the other way. The defensive tackle just unblocked. Tackles Montgomery at the line of scrimmage. It's a miracle it wasn't a safety. It's like that. There was like 2 or 3 of those plays where it's just like just completely like they were lost. And that's where like Ragnauer, he's calling out the protection. He's the quarterback of that offensive line. That's what you always say about the center. They're missing him big time.
Yeah.
And as for Morton, who's calling his first game, you don't want to put – I'm not going to rip him too hard for it. I mean, a back-breaking pick for Jared Goff before the half. Just they got to the red zone. They just couldn't quite finish off a couple of drives. But heading into next week versus the Bears, and then obviously after that we play the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night, who looked – even though they lost to the Bills, they looked amazing.
What a game.
Feels like a must-win this upcoming week, especially with the storyline of Ben Johnson. And man, I was wrong about Ben Johnson. I thought we would not miss a hitch. We still have all this talent, and we still might pick it up offensively. But you could sense a big time difference in just the purpose of this offense. And obviously, it's partly the offensive line. It's a big part.
Yeah, big.
But
part.
it just there was none of that creativity that we're used to,
Right.
and you saw that with the Bears when you watched them. I think they have a Caleb Williams problem, by the way, not a Ben Johnson problem. But it just was ugly. And Aiden Hutchinson, that's another guy I'm going to give a free pass to. He's coming back from injury, but it's hard not to laugh at the quote-unquote Hutch rule. I saw somebody had the tweet, they nailed it. The quote-unquote Hutch rule from training camp makes me more concerned about our offensive line than really anything. Because Hutch didn't have it. I mean, I saw my buddy texted me, Jake Bates had a tackle and Aiden Hutchinson didn't have a tackle. I mean, if you would have bet on that, you would have been a millionaire with a dollar bet. And again, it's Hutchinson's getting double teamed. Like I saw Hutchinson's Pro Football Focus grade still graded out pretty well, like a 70. He's getting double teamed all the time. So I'm not even blaming it on Hutchinson.
Right.
This is more so maybe a Brad Holmes problem. You saw that pass rush. Pass rush was non-existent. That's my biggest pet peeve in the NFL. We say it it's such a stereotype, but we say it every year. I say it at least. You got to win with 4. You got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback with 4 in the NFL, and we couldn't do that. We couldn't get pressure on him with 5, with 6. It felt like. So to me, I never thought that Zadarius Smith was a big deal, but when you see how this defensive line looks with the Aiden Hutchinson back and the defense fully healthy, and we're not getting any pressure on the Packers quarterback Jordan Love, it makes you go, man, maybe we really kind of screwed it up in the offseason, not going and getting another pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just salt to the wound. Zadarius Smith goes to the goddamn Eagles, who already have 10 pass rushers. It just hurts, man. And to me, I think the Lions are still a good team. They're going to bounce back. But Ted, you booked the room. Where's the Super Bowl at?
San Francisco area, Santa Clara.
The barometer for success is a Super Bowl appearance.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like a Super Bowl team from what I watch.
Know.
It's a playoff team. You know, maybe they get lucky and catch fire. But it seems like we've taken a step back from last year and definitely from 2023 where we had the 49ers beat. But I don't know. I'm a little bit worried. I'm not panicking. I trust Dan Campbell a lot more than I trust Sherrone Moore. I know we have talent on that team. Jared Goff's a good leader. Amon-Ra had a good game. To me, the last thing I'll say is Morton made in this offensive line made David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs look mortal. They made them like Gibbs had 10 catches for like 20 yards. It's like, what's going on in this game plan?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
nervous. It's a must win this week. It's crazy to say that week 2 of the NFL season, it's a must win.
Yeah, at home.
At home and with what they have coming up before the bye week. They have a bye week. They go to Baltimore, like you said. They go to Kansas City. They go to Cincinnati. I mean, they have a tough
season's go off the rail quick too.
That's what I mean. It could go off the rails pretty quick, and they can turn it around for sure. Yeah, they go at Baltimore, then they have the Browns, so that's winnable. And then they're at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, home Tampa Bay, who some people are picking to be the NFC team in the Super Bowl before the bye week. I mean, that very well, the season could be done before the bye week if they kind of let things fall off.
We're going to know right where we're at after that Tampa game for sure.
I mean, but you're telling me let's just put this scenario out. Ben Johnson lights us up. Couple razzle dazzle plays for big time touchdowns.
He wants.
We're not coming here on this. We're not coming here on Monday next week and going, oh my God, like we might. This window is closed. Like we're done. Like I can see it, man. I hope it doesn't happen. Knock on wood, but
Yeah, let's just step back a little bit. One
Yep.
one game at
One
Green
game.
Bay.
I don't know.
And Green Bay's a pretty good team. They're
Right,
pretty
Green
good.
Bay's good.
My heart can't take our team sucking. Michigan and Lions. I can't take it. I can't go back to that life that we lived for so
Well,
long. I can't do it.
I hope you're.
Yeah, I tweeted it out. I don't know if you guys saw my tweet. So I'll just ask you the question: if you, off the top of your head, even if you did see what I tweeted, when was the last time we had a weekend where Michigan and the Lions lost on the same weekend?
Yeah, I saw.
I did see you tweeted. I don't remember
the
answer.
while.
Yeah, 2021. I'm gonna guess
It was way back then. It was when Michigan lost to Georgia in the CFP in the college football playoff. Which I don't know about you guys. That seems like forever ago.
it's sure
But they lost on Friday to Georgia, and then the Lions lost that Sunday to Seattle. After that, Michigan had an undefeated regular season, and then they lost in the playoff, and then they had the national championship season. And obviously the Lions have been on a great run also. So we've been spoiled the last 2 or 3 years, with some pretty good teams, but it's feeling like things are starting to slip a little bit. Again, like you said, Ted, 1 week.
Yeah,
And it's only one game.
And I know they have new coordinators, but I'm looking more at the players.
Right.
The players up front, they've got to improve. I mean, the rookie from Georgia, Ratledge, I think he graded out as the worst offensive lineman of the week in the NFL. So he's got nowhere to go but up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna get it together, I believe, but you can't shortchange what you said about Ragnow. I mean, they're missing him. I mean, somehow they need to talk him out of retirement and bring him back.
And how stupid were we to just like, it's a Hall of Fame center right there that walked away.
Right.
Where it's like, and I thought it too. We're just plug and play the next guy. We won't miss a beat. Man, we could be way wrong. At least I could be way wrong. That's definitely what I thought. Just plug and play. Ratledge will have youth. Ragnow was always banged up. It's not looking that way, man.
No. Finishing up in the NFL, I mean, the Eagles looked good as always in their win over the Cowboys. The Bills and Ravens game, man, was that some fantastic football or what? Anybody that went to bed or left the stadium before that one was over, they were nuts, man.
Yeah.
Josh Allen can play. That kid, I mean, he's MVP for a reason.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, you watch that game and then you watch the Lions, and you go, man, they just look like they're at a different speed.
Yeah.
That's it. Not to tie everything back to the Lions, but the number one story, this just happened last night. It was hilarious to see it play out in real time. I'm usually the guy who's the idiot who has the way too hot take way too early, but JJ McCarthy, everyone wrote him off at halftime, and it was the perfect storm. You had this guy that everybody called the handoff merchant. He looks bad in the first half, and then sure enough, it's the JJ that we knew to love at Michigan, where when it mattered most, he got it done. So I just thought that was pretty hilarious to see. And then you hear all the Harbaugh-isms, that he's kind of talking to his guys. Anywhere you'd rather be, like talking to the team in the huddle. It's like, you had to love that, man. That was classic Michigan, classic McCarthy.
I watched that. Go ahead, Ted.
I was just going to say that even the post-game interview with him was classic JJ, man. The dude is all right.
He's that guy that just always says the same thing, or not the same thing. He always says the right things.
Yeah.
And he's a quarterback. He's being a leader, but it seems genuine. He just seems like a really good dude, and his teammates love him. I mean, that what you're talking about, Jared, Aaron Jones, their running back. He said when they were still down in the fourth quarter, after a TV timeout, JJ came back into the huddle and just looked at all the guys in the face and said, "Is there anywhere else you'd rather be?" And I mean, that's just awesome. Like you said, it's kind of a Harbaugh-ism. It's probably something he got from Jim Harbaugh, but it's like that's the kind of stuff that, players will rally behind. And then he's throwing darts all over the place. And then he's trucking a dude into the end zone to score a touchdown. So again, same thing as the Lions. That was one game. We'll see how the rest of his career plays out. But of course, he's in the Lions division. And
and that's the sad thing is I kind of went like, I don't want to say the F word, but that's kind of what I said. When I saw the video of him celebrating in the locker room with Kevin O'Connell, it's like, God damn, dude, he's already this. Like, I thought there'd be some growing pains at least. Just feels like that window, man, with Parsons coming in, making an impact with on like 10 snaps, with JJ McCarthy being the guy. Bears, even though they lost, they look improved.
They look good.
I only saw one team in the NFC North that I thought took a step back from last year. So hopefully they right the ship. A couple other things I thought were, noteworthy. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The schedule gods gifted us a classic matchup week 1 with that Jets versus Steelers matchup. I mean, that was all time. Great television, great theater. Boswell, the hero there with the 60-yard field goal. And then how about the Dolphins? What a dumpster fire. I mean, they made Daniel Jones look freaking amazing. And John Gruden said it best about Daniel Jones. the Giants have a tendency whenever guys leave, they look better when they leave. I think we're all kind of out on the whole after the whole Hard Knocks offseason with the Giants. We saw what that franchise is about. We'll see what Jackson Dart has the keys, but yeah, the Dolphins, my God, and Aaron Rodgers. Those are two other big stories for me for the NFL.
Yeah, wrapping it all up, I have to again jump into the red zone. I watched the 1 o'clock red zone. Loved it. It was awesome, man. It is, and what I think they had 1 minute worth of commercials.
I know what like I said, overreaction, man. People are crazy. It made no sense.
Yeah, but I love it, man. What a deal I got for that. Anytime it's a 1 o'clock game, the Lions aren't in, I'm all over the red zone for sure. And then back and forth at commercials, even, it's awesome. All right, let's. I got one other thing off topic. Congrats to George Blaha. He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, winning the Kurt Gowdy Award for broadcasting. Well deserved, man. Blaha's one of the best of all time, without a doubt.
Yeah, he had a classic tidbit in his speech. I mean, he named, like, you talk about making sure nobody's name was left off the list in his Hall of Fame speech. He named every person that's ever touched him in his career, it seemed like. He had a classic story. We talk about how nervous he was to be broadcaster for the team, and then Bob Lanier took him out for an ice-cold beer, as he phrased it. That was a classic little tidbit. But, yeah, George Blaha still – at this day and age, I mean, he's coming on to his 50th year announcing Pistons basketball. When those moments are high and there's energy, I still think his calls, man, of those big time moments are up there with anybody's. So
count that baby. Oh yeah, he's all time. I remember watching him with the Bad Boys. Obviously, you do too, Ted.
Oh yeah.
And then with the going to work Pistons with Chauncey and those guys. I mean, he's the best. Obviously, we're a little biased because we're Pistons fans. It stinks that he's the voice of the Spartans also.
Right.
I mean, Ted, you like that. That's fine. But
nah. He's a basketball announcer the way I see it. I'm not the biggest fan in football, but that's just the way it is.
I wonder if he was kicking himself like, man, I wish I was there for that Michigan State Boston College game, or if he was just soaking up the Hall of Fame festivities. But
yeah,
because he loves Michigan State football. I'm not kidding.
He does.
Around him, like that's like the go-to topic. He freaking loves him. He loves Nick Saban too, which makes sense for his days at Michigan State. But.
Well, congrats to George.
Yeah, that's very cool. I was going to throw out one more thing. I know we got to get to a little Tedertainment tonight.
Yeah.
It's something that both you guys love, our resident Spartan fan, Ted, and I know, Jared, you have an appreciation for Oakland basketball, Greg Campy. I saw Tony Paul, he's a reporter in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
He tweeted out that they're going to keep that rivalry. I mean, if you want to call it a rivalry, keep that matchup going with Michigan State and Oakland. They've been playing at LCA downtown Detroit. They're going to go through I think it's at 2027, 2028 or something. It's like the next 3 or 4 seasons, they're going to keep that going. And I just think that's so cool. I mean, Michigan State's always going to beat them. Maybe once in a while, Oakland might maybe pull an upset, but we know Michigan State's going to win. But we know Izzo and Campy are really, really good friends. That's just a cool non-conference game. Yep. But yeah, it's cool to see Michigan State play Kansas or Michigan State play Duke. Michigan go play, some other big team, North Carolina or something. That's cool. But no, the non-conference to me, I want to see Michigan State play Oakland. That's a really cool story. The TV is always great. Mm-hmm. They play around Christmas, and you got Campy and Izzo in ugly sweaters, and it's always a good game on TV at LCA downtown. I'm glad they're keeping that going.
Those type of games are awesome. The in-state matchups versus the lesser level teams, that's why Central Michigan's an awesome game. You're talking about these kind of throwaway games. Said at least if you're going to do them, let's do them with some teams like that. Sure. Michigan State playing Western, Michigan playing Central, because I know other schools don't do it. Like Alabama doesn't play UAB; they don't play teams in the state of Alabama. Right. I'm pretty sure. No. So I appreciate that us in Michigan, we do that. It's awesome. Like you said, these Oakland versus Michigan State games are freaking awesome every year. And they seem to be a little bit better of a game than your typical Central's going to give Michigan their best shot. They are. I know they just played Pitt last week, but you're telling me they don't all have that game circled versus Michigan? It's it just adds a little extra pizzazz to these games. So I'm with you. It's a great that they renewed it. My only complaint, I don't think they ever played at Oakland, which I get. If you're Oakland and you're their team, you're like, let's go play at the Breslin. That's awesome.
Right.
But it would be cool if they just maybe one time did it at Oakland U.
Yeah. Well, let's take another quick break and we'll come back. There's a show we've all watched that we're going to get into right after this. All right, Matt, I think you ought to start. We're recapping something that Jared talked about originally. Unknown Number, the high school catfish, took place in Beale City, Michigan. Before you give your review and some of your thoughts, I got to tell you, I watched it twice. I watched it myself in the morning, and then because I have to kind of preview it for my wife. And then I said, well, you can handle this. So I watched it again. I was astounded both times.
Yeah, I mean, astounded is a great word, because usually, you know, with these true crime, I mean, I know, Jared, I don't know if I would classify this as a true crime, but, you know, it's kind of along those lines. Jared, you're not as into those as Ted and I when it comes to Tedertainment Tonight, but most of the time you can kind of start picking things up while you're watching and be like, I'm starting to lean towards this is the person who did it, you know, whatever the story. I didn't see that coming. I honestly, whether it was the way Netflix set it up, or, you know, whether it was they had her, they were interviewing her and she wasn't leading on at all.
Let me just throw out real quick. I mean, spoiler alert, you know, if you're going to watch it on Netflix, we're going to talk about it. So just fast forward to this part. All right, go ahead.
Right. But, you know, so the whole setup, you know, the mom of the victim, I guess, her daughter, she wasn't leading on that she was. So the whole time you had no thought that the mom was the one doing this. And then when they dropped the bomb that it was her, it honestly was like, holy shit. First of all, it's just insane. But the stuff she was saying to her daughter, it's X-rated stuff, but also the like
kill yourself
stuff, and to think that she's saying this to her daughter, and then the way that she tried to justify it by like saying, hey, everyone does stuff, you know, everyone probably drinks and drives and they just don't get caught, and she's like trying to justify it, and you know, she's almost not even acting remorseful. And it was very bizarre. And then the scene, I think, Jared, you talked about it last week when you talked about when the cops finally, you know, found out what it was and they went to her house to confront her. That whole scene was just bizarre because she obviously seemed very uneasy, but they went in the house and the cops were allowing her to still like hug and touch her daughter. And you would think, like, wouldn't you want to separate them knowing what she just did? Like, should she be in handcuffs right now? That whole scene was just very bizarre.
Did you get the same feeling I did from the daughter? She's hearing all this stuff and she's just sitting there like a stone. You know, and
I don't know.
Maybe in shock or what's going on?
Maybe she had some intuition that it was the mom, but like, how do you like say that? The dad was kind of I think they all got paid from this, and like it's like, so they did it. They wanted to do this, so we can talk about it. The dad had like kind of a funny reaction. Where, well, your job's not real, is it? Like, no, job's not real. It's like, what's going on here? That was kind of a funny. It was just, crazy, man, crazy. Did you guys have a similar feeling? Once you found out who it was almost like, it was like sickening. Like, I couldn't watch anymore. I was like, this is literally a psychopath. Like, I don't know what else there is to pull from it other than a psychopath. Like,
I wanted to slap her up.
Right. I mean, well, and then to find out, you know, people are starting to say, like, now I've gone down like TikTok rabbit holes where, like, you know, obviously the TikTok investigators are giving their opinions, and even some of the people in the documentary have started releasing videos and like giving their side, or, you know, like Netflix didn't tell this much of the story. But there's a whole other, like, how did the cops, and maybe they did, you know, it was an 1.5-hour documentary. I'm sure a lot of stuff was left out, of course, a lot of details. But how did she not get in trouble? How is she not on like the sex offenders list or like the pedophile for the stuff she was saying in these texts
to minors?
And like, to think that, you know, now it's coming out that, you know, the son, they think that she was like obsessed with him. She was following him around to tournaments and she was doing all this other weird stuff. So how is she just out there? You know, you would think she would be on some sort of sex offender list or something like that. So there's that whole side to it. And there's one thing, that the continuity thing, I don't know if Jared, if you picked up on it, you too, Ted, the whole time they were interviewing Lauren, you know, kind of the main victim of the whole documentary, it seemed like she was in her bedroom, or, you know, it looked like she was in her bedroom.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, in the whole time, she was saying stuff like she still loved her mom. She was still talking to her mom all the time when she's in prison, and she still wanted to have a relationship. They were showing the text they had, telling each other they loved each other and all this kind of stuff. And when it was at that point in the documentary, I was looking at my wife like, okay, I understand she's young and this is her mom, so I can't put myself in her shoes. But I'm like, how is she just okay with what her mom did? But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it flips to a different interview with her. And she's in completely different clothes, and she's like in a hallway, and she's saying, yeah, I haven't talked to my mom in 1.5 years, and I don't really have a relationship with her, and I don't know if we're ever going to have a relationship. So I was like, what's happening here with the continuity? And then it flips back to another interview at the end with her back in her bedroom, and she's like, she's my mom and I still really love her. I was like, this is all right. No, this isn't working. I ended up looking it up. The initial interview they did it was back in like 2022.
Right.
And then they went back and interviewed her.
That long, man.
Right. So they went back and interviewed her again. And that's what, I mean, they interviewed, whatever the hell her name is, the person who got Kendra, mom,
right,
after she got out of prison. So those two interviews were like 2 years apart. So that's kind of where the continuity thing was a little messed up. But I was like, the editing, this is a little strange right now. Like, did you guys have those thoughts at all? Like, how was the?
No, I didn't even notice that. It's good that it's now that you say that. Yeah, I didn't even make it to the end. Like I left it with like 15 minutes left once it was unveiled who it was, and it was this. Like to me, it was like I think it's like you gotta. Don't you think like in their home life they gotta be like looking at like this person. My mom's crazy. Like there had to have been other things. It couldn't have just been this.
Right.
She never had a job. Like I don't know what this is what she did all day. Sends hundreds of messages. Like. Just bizarre, man. No other way to put it than freaking bizarre.
Well, yeah. Just think about their home life in real, because their house got foreclosed. They had to put their stuff in a storage shed, and then that got shut down. He lost all his stuff. I mean, what a wacky family. The dad, thank God, he at least pulled it together at the end. It appears like, but there had to be some tension in that house, without a doubt. It was definitely something to watch. Unknown Number, the high school catfish on Netflix. Even if you know what went on now that we've talked about it, it's definitely well worth the watch. I think despite the continuity thing, it still was a decent show, don't you think?
That's probably a little bit of a nerd thing, but it was a little weird, to watch it like that. But there was also other stuff. Like, I mean, we could go on about this for a while, but like,
we're here.
Why did it take so long for them to get the police involved?
Right.
That was like the parents. Why did it take so long for them to get even the school involved, and then especially the police? Like, it seems like they kind of let it go for a while before they were like, now this is starting to seem kind of weird. There was just a lot of things. I mean, I know small town, small. I mean, we grew up in a small town, not as small as Beale City, but so we know how it goes. Just feel like everyone, you trust everyone in town. So maybe they weren't really suspecting anything bad, but if they were already suspecting that Kendra, the mom, was a little bit of a weirdo with their son, it's just, there's a lot of strange stuff. And I mean, you got to think like, this is something that, I mean, these kids, it's going to affect them for the rest of their lives,
Oh, for sure.
I thought it was funny, like the superintendent, like he had a couple funny quips where they're like the mom, like the boy's mom, like wanted all the students in the school to have to give up their phones to be searched through. He's like, we can't do that.
Right.
It's like, I mean, I get it. Like if you're those parents, like we got to figure this out, man. And that was like, and it sounds like Kendra like kind of went along with it a little bit. Like, yeah, let's do this police investigation. How's the investigation going? But that probably could have been a red flag right there. Whereas the boy's mom was like 10 times more dead set on getting this thing solved than Kendra ever was. So now we know why.
I do have one inside baseball question for you guys. Did you think that when they did the interview and went to her house and confronted her, wasn't that pretty good video? I mean, it wasn't just a police
body cam. You're saying?
Was that a body cam or was that a?
Yeah, like a cop. I thought the cop did a pretty good job, kind of like.
Yeah.
Keeping the situation cool, I guess, or how he presented the information. I don't know. It was so bizarre. Like I don't even know what you do there, but yeah, that was the jarring moment of the whole thing was the body cam. I think it becomes public footage at some point. Like I don't know how that rule works, but yeah, that was bizarre to see. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was some good quality. I thought, it was almost like there was a documentary crew there with a camera.
Right. I mean, a body cam video anymore is probably like full HD, right? So I mean,
probably, yeah.
Decent video. That whole thing was strange. And of course, I think Ted, we talked about it the other night when we were doing our interviews, but there's a Lifetime movie about it too now. So you can watch like a reenactment of the whole thing. That's how Lifetime does it. If you want to kind of see how it all plays out in the movie form, watch the Lifetime movie. But you got to think too. I mean, this is. I mean, it's going crazy viral. It's like the number one thing on Netflix right now.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be what everyone is talking about in that town.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I give kudos to Netflix. How they presented that documentary was like the best way to do it. The basically whodunit type thing. Like if it just came out right away that it was this mom, I think all of us would have been like, okay, this is just like a absolute crazy person. Like, what do we even take from it? But I thought it was very well done with how they kind of buried the lead on who it was.
Yeah, I thought so too. Before we close the show, I had one other show I watched today. I was a little disappointed. I've got Apple TV Plus for a month. Sign up for a free month. So I wanted to see Severance, and I've been watching Severance. That's a pretty good show. I'll give you my full review after I watch the season. But Denzel Washington's in a new movie. Spike Lee directed it. It's called Highest to Lowest. Little disappointed in it. It was it got pretty good reviews on Rotten Apples, but the script was a little iffy. The acting was iffy. Just disappointed in it.
Right.
So
I've got a hot take. I'm not the biggest Denzel fan.
Okay. Oh, that is a hot take.
I mean, like he's good, but some people act like he's like one of the best actors ever, and I'm not to that level with him.
Right. Well, in this one, I mean, he is 70 years old. And he was doing some things where they had a stunt double. He's chasing down some criminal dude, through the subway system, and I'm going, listen, man, I'm your age. I'm not chasing anybody down for a very long period of time. That's for sure. But I wouldn't give that one a high recommendation. Maybe 2 out of 3. And maybe there's a reason why it went to Apple so quickly. I don't know. It was a release in the theaters recently, but not the best. So that's what I'm going to leave it with here. Yeah. Don't waste your time, unless you like Denzel.
Unless you like Denzel. I'm making my way through Landman too. I know you guys have talked about Landman. We're making our way through that with in between some other stuff but that's a good watch. I'm glad I took your guys' recommendation and I started diving into it. Or Jared, have you?
Great finale.
Yeah.
Billy Bob's the man.
Yeah.
And that finale is where you kind of see like how he's a badass. I think they kind of keep it under wraps, and then like, this guy's badass. So.
Is that season 1 ending, or is there 2 seasons?
Just one. I feel like he turns those shows out pretty quick though, so I would guess season 2 is coming pretty soon. But I haven't heard anything about it.
I hope so, because I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's call it a podcast, boys. We want to thank the good folks at Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. They got their orthopedic walk-in clinic now available for those sports-related injuries, Monday through Friday, 8 to noon, no appointment needed. Also want to thank our other great partners, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook & Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Nichols Painting, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, the Shiawassee County Fair, and ALS of Michigan. Also, the next Z92.5 game of the week is coming up Friday, September 12th at Wilman. Casey and Bart will be there. Lake Fenton at Owasso. Trojans looking for win number 3. And by the way, we're reaching out to different guests. We're trying to step it up a little bit here at the podcast, and we've got a fun bonus podcast for you to listen to a little later this week. Episode 376, we have award-winning author John Bacon to discuss his latest book, The Gales of November, the untold story of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And we're also going to touch bases with West Michigan Whitecaps play-by-play man Dan Hasty about their record-setting season. Jared was under the weather. Matt and we had to stick with our schedule commitments with the 2 guests. And I know what your thoughts are, Matt, but it's definitely worth a tune in later this week.
No, definitely. 2 really good interviews. Wish Jared, you could have been there, but you'll enjoy listening to them. And hopefully we can link up with those guys again in the future. But no, whether you like authors, whether you like books, whether you like to read, play by play, 2 really good interviews with 2 very successful people in their field.
Absolutely. So
I can't wait to hear that, and I can't wait to read the Gales of November book. I mean, I'm excited for the interview, and I know it's just going to get me even more excited to read that book eventually.
100%, definitely. And if you're interested, listen to the interview. But beforehand, if you want to maybe pre-order it, you can go on his website, John U. Bacon. You can find it. All right. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.